Arsenal's season will be defined by how well we do in the Champions League. Look, we've got a difficult game against Real Madrid coming up, and I'm not going to try and convince anyone that it will be an easy game. But after looking into it, there's actually some things that benefit Arsenal massively surrounding this game. Look, there's some talking points that I need to get people's thoughts and opinions on in this video. Before we get into it though, if you could do me a very quick favour and just hit like on this video. So look, as an Arsenal fan, I like to try and be realistic. So before I get into the video, I just want to try and gauge people's opinion on how likely is it that you think Arsenal right now beating Real Madrid in the Champions League is. Let me know. Are Arsenal underdogs? Do you put them as favourites? Like, what's the percentage chance you give Arsenal of beating Real Madrid and going through to the next round? Is it 50-50? Is it 80-20? Let me know in the comment section. Like, the thing I'm looking at is how difficult is the fixture list around this Real Madrid game, because that will dictate what kind of team you can put out against Real Madrid. Luckily, like, the fixtures that Arsenal have got massively help us. If you look at our next two games, we've obviously got Fulham and then Everton. Then you go into Real Madrid. Then you've got Brentford. Then you've got the second leg against Real Madrid. And then you play Ipswich. So if you look either side of the Real Madrid games, you've got Everton, you've got Brentford, and you've got Ipswich. So we've avoided the big six teams, the title challengers, Liverpool. You've obviously dodged Man City, Newcastle, all these teams that are usually difficult games, Chelsea, United. So I look at those fixtures and I think that definitely benefits Arsenal. Now again, look, it's going to be hard. If you look at Real Madrid in the league though, like, they're not this invincible team that a lot of people try and make them out to be. Look, they're difficult. And in the Champions League, there's something about Real Madrid that just allows them to keep winning. It's almost like the name alone pushes them through fixtures where it looks like they might struggle, or they should struggle, or they are struggling. They just find a way to get through. And that's proved by how many times they've won this thing. But they're not even first in La Liga. If you look at their league position, they're second. They've played 28 games, which is comparable to Arsenal. They've scored 59 goals and they've conceded 27. Arsenal have played 29 games. We've scored 53 goals and there's 24 goals against us. So we've scored slightly less goals, but we've conceded less goals as well. So I think the form in terms of Arsenal and Real Madrid is actually comparable. And Arsenal are doing it in a more difficult league. I think everyone will admit that the Premier League in terms of depth and strength is far stronger than La Liga. Now, the difference on the day will always be the players out there on the field, and this is where a lot of people are panicking. They've got players like Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., Rodrygo, Bellingham, and these are danger players. You look at Mbappe, he's got 20 goals in the league. Like, that's obviously a very, very good return. You look at players like Vinicius Jr., he's on 10 goals, which, you know, it's a lot of goals, but it's not like unbelievable. You think of Vinnie Jr. and you place him amongst the best players in the world. A lot of people thinking he should have won the Ballon d'Or last season, but in my opinion, he's comparable to Saka. And I see a lot of rival fans kind of think, like, look at that in a way where I'm being negative towards Vinicius Jr. And I think, well, no, if you look at the stats, like, Vinny scoring 10 goals this season isn't something that Saka isn't doing, and Saka's been injured. So, yeah, they've got Vinicius Jr., but we've got Saka. And that is the good piece of news that I want to touch on. Mikel Arteta coming out and saying that Saka's got a very good chance of being in contention for this game. If we are to beat Real Madrid, then we need to have Saka available. The best chance we've got of beating Real Madrid is by having, like, the dangerous attack, because we know our defence is every bit as good as, if not better than, Real Madrid's. I place Arsenal's defence as actually even better than Real Madrid's. But the attack is where Arsenal need to try and do so. And this is where you guys can let me know. Right now, if you had the option of putting the team out against Real Madrid, what front three do you go for? For me, with say considering Saka's going to be back available, I would go Saka on the right, Trossard on the left, and Martinelli up front. I would be surprised. Well, I wouldn't be surprised, but it wouldn't seem right to me to play in Real Madrid in the quarterfinals of the Champions League and playing Mikel Merino up front. And people might say, but he's scoring goals. But I'm saying, you're playing Mikel Merino up front. You can't against Real Madrid shove a player in a makeshift position. And yes, I understand Martinelli's not a striker, but we've seen him play that position before and he's more dangerous. Like, Mikel Merino might get a chance to score a goal, and in terms of his finishing, he's quite prolific. So if you want him in there in the hopes that he gets on the end of something, then I understand it. But I think in terms of in all areas of being dangerous, I think Martinelli offers way more. He can wiggle through those tight spaces. He has that pace. He has the ability to beat a man. He's got the unpredictability that, like, no one knows what he's going to do at times. I'm not even sure he knows what he's going to do at times, but it's effective. And against a team like Real Madrid, you need that difference maker, the someone who can just do something you're not expecting. And realistically, can you see Mikel Merino picking up the ball and dribbling past two players and beating the back line for pace and then whipping the ball in? No. Can you see it happening with Martinelli? Maybe. He's at least got the attributes that allows you to have that option. And that's why I would play Martinelli up front for this game. It would be a curveball because we haven't really seen it with Mikel Arteta. He might put Trossard up front, but for me, it would be a mistake. I want that pace of Gabriel Martinelli. At times, you're probably going to be pinned back, relying on your defence. Arsenal, whether we like it or not, will set up to be solid against Real Madrid. We're not going to go out there and attack the game as many of us would like. We're going to sit deep and rely on what's been so effective for us. Our defence is our best attribute in this team. Like, it's our best area of the pitch. We're so strong defensively, so we're going to use that against Real Madrid. So if you're sitting deep and the ball breaks, you're not going to want Mikel Merino chasing down Rodrygo for the ball. You're going to want Gabriel Martinelli, who has the chance to beat him for pace and then skill out whoever's left and then have a one-on-one with the keeper. Again, it's not perfect. I would like to have Havertz available for this game, and people won't like that either, but, you know, Havertz is Arsenal's top scorer. But let me know who you guys would play in those front three rows versus Real Madrid. Some people might play Saka, Nwaneri and Martinelli, and you go all-out attack in terms of pace, dynamism, and you have some forward players there who are capable of changing the game. And that's what Arsenal are going to need against Real Madrid. We're going to need some game changers, because if you look at their midfield, for example, you've got Bellingham this season scored 11 goals with 11 assists, and the Arsenal midfielders don't compare to that. Odegaard last season had similar numbers, but this season, Rice and Odegaard are on the same stats. They've both scored 5 and they've assisted 8. Like, Odegaard's come out this season and said, like, he knows he's not been good enough. The Real Madrid midfield is very, very strong. They've got players like Valverde in there. They've got Bellingham, who is so good at getting forward and getting in those areas, and he's just so aggressive, not in terms of being nasty, but just in terms of his desire and hunger to want to win the ball. So yes, Arsenal have to be at their best to win this game, and it might be a game where we rely on that aerial threat that we've seen so dominant this season for Arsenal. Now, we had Merino score a set-piece goal in the last game, but before that, it was kind of 12 games ago since we had that constant threat from corners, and this could be one of them games where you're just relying on a corner. Arsenal have the most aerially dominant player probably in the world in terms of a defender in Gabriel. Real Madrid have got Rodrygo, but he's nowhere near as good as scoring from those corners and set pieces as Gabriel is. So that is an area of the pitch that we're going to have to rely on in this game. Look, we're going to have so many, or I'm going to have so many videos coming out in the run-up to the Real Madrid game, but I just kind of, you know, we've got a 2-week period now where we're going into the international fixtures, so I just wanted to have a quick look and assess Arsenal's chances of beating Real Madrid in the upcoming game. And after looking at the fixture list, I just thought it was interesting to know that we've got Everton, Real Madrid, Brentford, Real Madrid, Ipswich. Easy enough fixtures, allows you to rest some players. The only, like Arteta's notorious for not resting players in kind of games where you should be. And in the Everton, Brentford and Ipswich game, hopefully Arsenal do rest players. Arteta should rest players because you need your fittest players available to play Real Madrid. The only way I don't see Arteta resting players in those games is, say, if in the next 2 games before we play Real Madrid, Liverpool, because they're having a bad week, lose the next 2 games. And then all of a sudden the points difference between second, us Arsenal, and Liverpool is 6 points. And then that would make you consider like playing a weakened team against Everton, Brentford, Ipswich, because it's like, right, we're only 6 points behind Liverpool If we go to Anfield and beat them, that's only 3 points behind Liverpool. That's one game. So that is the only scenario where I don't see Arteta resting players for these Real Madrid games. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on everything you've heard in this video. What are the chances of Arsenal beating Real Madrid to progress to the semi-finals of the Champions League? Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, do me a quick favour. Just hit like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.